Once it dropped, but when it shot to number 2, worldwide,
Yeah.
I was blown away.
Yeah, the OGs I'm sure were like, the king of what? Yeah.
Met, and then he was like, Subs, man, let me tell you, I've been at the SABC for about 6 years. I've never seen a script like this. This is my first time. Man, I'm not making this shit up. They would like, hey man, you're a writer. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to do politics.
How do you keep your ego in check?
Even when I would walk on set, the first time I got on set, everybody was just like, oh, there he is, there he is. Like, hey, he's the one who's causing us problems here.
Yeah.
Because I thought I was doing this, but what came out, oh my God. And as he arrives at the hotel, he's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hit.
Yeah.
Now I'm just like, and I'm just blown away. I'm like, Netflix.
Yeah.
My first movie. And they know, like, next thing I'm on the phone with Netflix. And one of the first things that popped up was the Silverton Siege. And I'm like, what is this? And then it was like 2 sentences, you know, 3 guys, MK, blah, 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 sabotage mission. They end up in a bank, hostage situation for 6 hours. And then, bah, I knew it. I said, that's a fucking hit. That's a blockbuster.
And you're live on Dead Radio.
Welcome to another very special episode of Dead Radio with your boy Ini. And once again, we have another special guest in the building reporting live from the Dead Store. We're gonna let our guests introduce themselves, then we're gonna get into their life story, and you know how we do, get those jewels for you guys to use in your everyday lives. So without further ado.
How's it, everybody? My name is the King of TV. I'm the writer and producer of Kings of Joburg on Netflix and the writer of Silverton Siege, the number 2 film in the world that dropped in April 2022. I'm a producer, film writer, creative, everything and more. Yeah, let's get into it.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us, bro.
Sweet, brother.
How are you doing right now? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Yeah,
I'm feeling good. Just really busy. Always grafting, always working.
Always working.
Just got off set as well.
Yeah.
Doing a couple of productions.
Dope.
Some with Netflix, some of my own independent stuff as well.
Okay.
So yeah, just pushing, man, pushing the bounds, pushing the culture of film and TV, and expanding my products into Hollywood, of course, into Los Angeles, and Europe, etc.
Let's give the people context to how you became the king of TV, right? Let's start your story, I think, from the beginning. Where did you grow up? Yeah, where were you born?
So I grew up in Pretoria. I was born in Pretoria.
Pretoria.
Yeah, Pretoria. But I grew up in the burbs, though, in the east side, and went to school that side, of course. When we actually moved that side, I think it was just pre-94. So there were no, people of color.
Yeah, in those ends.
Exactly. So it was a bit of an adjustment because a year before that we were living in Kasi, you know what I mean? But my family's originally from Mpumalanga.
Okay.
Yeah, so we dipped that side. So my dad was in politics. He was part of the first 400 in Parliament.
Dope.
Yeah, he went to prison as well.
He's a freedom fighter.
He's a freedom fighter.
Amazing,
yeah,
bro.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So all of that stuff kind of,
informed who you are.
Yeah, exactly. So, no man, growing up, just a normal life in the suburbs, I guess. And what I found out later is that it wasn't really that normal because we were traveling everywhere, etc. But that influenced me to open my mind up to a lot of different things. And yeah, man. So then from high school, was at Pretoria Boys High.
Dope.
After matric, I went to Tux to UP to study economics, so I didn't do the drama thing.
So let's actually zoom into that, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm always so interested in what people go and study and what they actually end up going to do, right? Because sometimes they actually don't correlate, right? So why economics at that time? Did your parents influence you to do that, or were you into numbers, or why was that the decision?
I was not into numbers. I was not even into school per se, you know. So after matric, like I really like music, right? So I used to write a lot of raps, you know. So my bedroom was like huge. Like
what was your MC name then? It's very
was
important.
it MC Drastic?
Okay.
Something stupid like that. And then I changed it to Fresh something. I can't even remember. But I was always writing, right? So I thought maybe this is it. But then after matric, my dad took me to the school, sound engineering school at SAPC.
Okay, ASC, right?
Is it ASC?
Yeah,
I can't even remember
Academy of Sound
Engineering. Yeah. So when I got there, all of a sudden, like it was closed. I don't think school had started yet, but they were showing me around, you know, and I just didn't feel it per se, you know. I don't know why, but
you just weren't feeling it.
I wasn't feeling it. So my dad was like, okay, are you happy now? Can you now go to it? You saw it, now can you go to school? So I think you should do economics. So I'm just like, okay. I'm sharp.
Yeah, that's cool.
So now I go on to do the studying thing, but then funny enough, so my story, the big highlight of my story, my upbringing, my childhood is that when I was around 13, 14, I kind of discovered something about myself, is that I was interested in, you know, autobiographies and people that were talented, really talented, but also were in kind of the limelight in a sense. So, you know, I'd read books about Thomas Edison, Steve Jobs, famous soccer players and whatever. And I discovered that these guys, you know, they love what they do. You know, on Monday when they wake up, it's not like,
I have to go to work.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's what I wanted for myself. And nobody taught me that. So I knew that the only way I'm going to be able to do that is if I consciously search for
what
my talent, for my passion. And I knew already at that age that I will know when I find it, because I will be better than the most, the average person without trying. That's usually how these things happen.
Damn, I love that as a measuring stick for finding what you want to do in the world, right? Because I've never heard anyone actually explain it like that. Like, okay.
And you're live on Dead Radio. You're live on Dead Radio.
Fuck, but as a young man, you became conscious of that because you were reading all these autobiographies.
Okay. And something was just kept drawing me into these pockets, these little fields of, oh, this guy is a star. Look, and then you watch a documentary and be like, yo, this guy goes on tour and blah, blah, blah. And he's enjoying himself. And he's rich and he's got money and he's doing this and he's doing that. And I was like, that's what I want. I don't want to go to the office. You know
I'm not trying to do that
I'm not trying to do that because I'm not interested already. I mean, there were other kids already in high school and whatever. They knew already, I'm going to be an accountant. I'm going to do this. I'm going to be an engineer. And I was like, what the hell is that?
I'm not
You know what I mean? So one thing that set me apart though on this path, I was blessed enough to have the parents that I had because they allowed me to experiment with all sorts of things, right? So I would, let me try soccer. So now my dad knows the guy at Pirates, and then I would go for tryouts. Then I'd realize, fuck,
it's not for me.
These guys are fucking running here and shooting. I'm tired as hell. No,
I'm not doing this.
And I wasn't too bad, but I knew that I was not the star.
So once again, the measuring stick was like, not yet. Yeah.
I would change things. At some point, I would I went for piano lessons. And I think my dad paid like something close to like 6-7 grand. This is like mid 2000s, you know? And then after the first week, I quit.
You're like, nah,
it's not it, because I could tell. Damn. And then I switched. And they allowed me to switch, funny enough. So I tried different things, numerous things. So my dad's in politics. Then at some point I was frustrated and I was like, I'm not finding it. I think I was like 17, 18. And then I was like, okay, you know what? I think maybe, let me read between the lines, maybe I'm a politician. And if I do this also, because my dad is there, easy steps, you know what I'm saying? So then I started with the politics stuff, so I joined the ANC Youth League, and then once I was in there, I wasn't really interested, but then there was a blog, an ANC Youth League blog, and I started writing on it, and my writings like caught traction, you know? And my dad's friends, so he would, you know, ask them, hey man, can you guys read this thing? My son's got this thing, blah, 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 blah. And I would get feedback from them, and they would be like, hey man, you're a writer. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to do politics. What about the politics? You know? And they were like, nah, no man, no, the politics is shit. But you can write though. And I was like, what are you talking about? You know? And then a few like months later, my dad's 50th happened. And he comes downstairs one night, and then the day before, and then he says to my sisters and I, you guys have to speak tomorrow. Then I'm like, me? No. I'm not ready to do that. And then everybody else is just relaxed. So I ran upstairs and I just quickly wrote something. To be prepared for tomorrow, because that's the best way I know how to express myself, right? So the next day happens, and then I'm there, like, my sisters first spoke, Mashama freestyle, you know, from the heart. From the heart. Me, I'm there with my paper. And as I'm reading, it was a huge crowd, and then I'm hearing, you know, all of these responses from all these people, and they're like, oh, wow. Every time I touch on a certain note and whatever, And then they called me to the side, some of my dad's friends, and they were like, wow, man, you're powerful with this pen thing. And he's like, wow, you write really well. And then I went back into my room and I was like, why does everybody keep telling me this?
About this thing.
This writing thing. And I kind of, you know, pushed it away.
Of course.
The only reason why I was not receptive was because I wanted to do something that was cool, man. You know?
I get you.
And when I thought about writers, I think about some old white guy in a library.
Room somewhere.
And I'm like, there's no examples, you know, of a guy that's making money, blah, 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 in the media and everything. And at some point, I just, you know, said, okay, if this is really it, I'm going to play around with this thing and I'm going to try write fiction, a story, and let me see what happens. If I can do it, then maybe we have something. That's what I did. So I wrote my first short story called Saving Kabo, right? And then I distributed it to like a whole bunch of people. And a week later, people started to say, wow, man, when I read this stuff, it felt like I was watching a movie, you know? And then I was like,
I've got something.
I think I've got something.
And it's crazy that you didn't go out looking for it. It literally came.
It was under my nose.
Yeah, it was right there.
That time I was like searching the world for it. It's crazy.
Damn.
And then what happened was that I moved really quickly on it. So I decided to enter short story competition.
Short story.
And then I won. I got first place. My first time. And then
how do you feel at that moment when, because yes, people are telling you, yo, you're dope, yo, you can write, yo, I love this story that you distributed, it made me feel like I was watching a movie. But once you entered a competition that's being judged by professionals against others and you won, how did you interpret that? Were you like, yes, this is actually the path?
It gave me more confidence, and I said, I was shocked at first, but I still kind of didn't really believe. I really didn't believe, because I was like, maybe I got lucky. Maybe it was just because it's local or whatever. Yeah? And then 2 months later, I go online and I hear that there's another competition called Gaunt's Gambit in Canada.
Okay.
I entered that competition.
Yeah.
I won first place. And I got around $300 or something like that.
Yeah.
I got first place.
Yeah.
That's when I had
That's when you're like, okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's when I knew. And from that point, I just started to change. The confidence just went crazy. And everything else in my life,
Yeah.
my whole world just became about this thing, writing, creating.
Storytelling, rather, right? Because that's the art.
That's the art. But I was still, looking back, I was still, a lighty in this thing. But it gave me the confidence to start writing my first novel. Yeah, and I finished it in 6 weeks.
Jeez. So at that point, obviously, you're just writing short stories.
Yeah, on my BlackBerry. The BlackBerry, what is it? BlackBerry Curve.
Oh, shout out to the BlackBerry. That was such an era, bro. Pay 60 rand for BIS.
Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, these kids don't know about that.
They don't
shit.
know about shit, man. We go way back.
So you're writing it on your BlackBerry?
On my BlackBerry, yeah. And I was writing my first novel on my BlackBerry. So there was obviously the Microsoft Word app. So I used that, and I completed it. And then obviously transferred that to the computer.
Your computer, yeah.
And then I sent it to Penguin Books, and then I sent it to what's the other one? Pan Macmillan, I think.
Yes.
And then about 2 or 3 months, I can't remember. Then I got my first publishing deal. Yeah. And then I became the youngest number one best-selling author in 2013. Yeah, 23 years old. Yeah. So then I was.
And then you're like, yo, full time now. This is like my thing.
Yeah.
So at that time, school. When does school do you finish the economics degree?
Yeah.
Like what's
I just jumped a little piece there.
Yes.
So after the international short story competition, that's when I decided
I'm leaving school.
Yeah.
How does your dad take it?
At first, I didn't tell them, so they thought that I was at school, but I wasn't, right? And this time I'm in my second year, I think. Yeah. And then at some point, when there are no results, this guy's not in attendance, and blah blah blah. Then I was in the corner, but I was not scared at all. Because I realized already that this is what I'm gonna do, regardless of
anything.
Even if they tell me, pack your shit
and get the fuck
out of here.
Yeah.
And I said, I'll be back.
I feel you.
Yeah. And then my dad, funny enough, he was more receptive. I thought he was gonna go crazy because he was more, education is
of course.
key.
Fathers are like
that. Yeah. And especially our generation.
1000%.
Yeah. So when that happened, when I told him, he was obviously disappointed at first. But then the exact same night, he sits me down and he tells me, if you really want to do this, I can see that you're passionate about this thing. If you really, really want to do this, then we must have an agreement. So the agreement was that when kids are going to school, Monday to Friday, when they go to varsity, from 8 o'clock or whatever. So from 8 o'clock to thingy, I don't want to hear shit about shit. You must be dedicated as much as whoever's doing a job or whatever it is.
Yes.
And so every day, 8 o'clock in the morning, I would write for about 4 hours.
Okay.
And then at around 2, I would read, because reading is the key to actually
getting
developing.
better at writing. Yes.
Especially when you're starting out. So I did that every day from Monday to Friday, like religiously. And that was one of the key things that got me to a certain place faster than other writers, the average writer, yeah, and people even with experience, because these guys were writers. Some of these book writers, most of them have jobs. They do it part-time. Because there's no cash really. So I got better than most people because of that, that regimen. So I was training.
You were basically LeBron taking 1,000 shots, or Michael Jordan taking 1,000 shots.
I like Michael Jordan. That's the real build, by the way.
Yeah, say less. Let's not do that. But I feel you.
Yeah.
But basically, that was your taking 1,000 shots every day.
10,000. My 10,000 hours. Yeah, that was my 10,000 hours, and that's when I started to create the novel. And once I created the novel, it was really, quick when I got my first publishing deal. And then I became #1 bestseller. And then fast forward, I dropped 2 other novels. The second one was called The Exit Interview. And then the third one was called The Gautrain Heist.
The first one, what was
The Split of Gary Oliver. So it was like a horror thriller kind of thing. Yeah. So I was still finding myself in that, but it was still
voice.
And my style as well, and my genre as well, because I didn't know which genre.
Yes.
And then slowly I started to go towards a certain place, and then finally got to the action. Which is what I do.
Yeah, which is actually what you do
now
today.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Damn, so you're doing super well. You've dropped out of school. You've got into the habit of reading, writing. You put out your first novel.
But once the first novel comes out, I'm not doing that regiment anymore. No one's in control of me per se in cleaning. But still, and I'm starting to get a little popular here and there. People are knowing about me. But still, there's still no money, right? Because my deal was like, I think it was 6% of.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that you tapped into that. I want to double click and open that folder, right? The money conversation in terms of being an author, right? So what does it actually mean when you get a publishing deal? Like, what does that mean? Does that mean that they're going to take your story and then just put it into a book and then put it on shelves? And what's the conversation like? And how do people actually make money from writing books?
Let me put this as simple as I can. Think about a musician that gets a recording deal for an album. Then you create that album, they market it, put it in on the shelves, they promote it, you kind of promote it with them, and then when everybody buys one book, let's say a book is acclaimed, $100, you get $6. If that's the percentage.
If that's the deal,
But also depending on certain deals. So mine, I got paid in different segments. So it's like every 4 months, depending on how many sales. So if it was a lot of sales, then I'll get it even earlier. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was kind of flexible in that. But still, I mean, fuck. I was still living at home.
I feel you. Yeah,
I was still struggling. I was still whatever, right? But I didn't. At first, I didn't even care about money. That's the crazy part. I didn't actually care about money. I cared more about being the best. Okay. Which is crazy because of the contrast of who I am now. It's completely different. I'm like, you don't care about the money.
What do you mean? Yeah, I feel you.
I don't even write books anymore.
I hear you. But that was your measuring stick for success. It was the pursuit of greatness.
Yeah.
That was how you measured it. Okay.
And that's still there, just added on with more important.
Of course, you need to pay bills and shit. Like that's real life. Okay. Damn, so the book is out, the books are out.
Yeah.
How do I ask this? When did film become a new path for you?
Yeah.
Because obviously it led from you writing the books to seeing, oh shit, if I can write a novel, what else can I
do?
write? Yeah.
So, funny story. I'm being interviewed at my parents' house in Pretoria. These two guys that have a little network. They're trying, they're doing photography, but they're also trying to produce a web series and whatever. So these guys are interviewing me about the book. And after the interview, they approach me and say, hey man, listen, do you do screenwriting? Because we've got this project that we're trying to do. And I outright lied to them. I said,
yeah, of course.
Anything with writing? Yeah, come on, I'm the guy. And then he said, oh, that's great. Okay, we're gonna be in contact next week, blah, blah, blah. And then they left. And then I'm like, shit, what the fuck? Screenwriting. So now I'm searching and, looking for ways to, obviously implement this thing. So I went to the internet cafe and then I printed out a book, how to write a screenplay in I think 7 days or something like that, I can't remember. So I printed it out, and then as I was reading, so I realized that, no man, what I was doing already
was great.
I write for film. And my dad used to keep telling me that. He said, what you're doing is for the movies, man. When I see your stuff, it's like a movie. And then I was like, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
I'm doing books, man. And my dad is a key person in my story that come up, and then so I realized, no, it's only now formatting that has to change, and obviously dialogue, and obviously the art of film. But most of what I was doing, it blended in perfectly. Easy. So one of the guys, those two guys that said, we got this little web series, it's 5-minute episode, blah blah blah. We're just gonna launch it on the internet. Then they gave me the idea, and then I started to write, right?
Okay.
One of the guys actually was working at the SABC for 6 years or whatever. So he was, he knew about TV and
he was
film,
plugged
and he was
into
within
that
the
system.
industry, scripts and whatever. So I wrote an episode. So it's 5 pages or 6 pages or something like that. And I sent it to them, and then we met, and then he was like, Sabs, man, let me tell you, I've been at the SABC for about 6 years. I've never seen a script like this. This is my first time. Man, I'm not making this shit up.
Once again, the universe is reaffirming that, you're
doing the right thing.
You're on the right
track. But the key here now, after having that fucking web series didn't go anywhere.
Of course.
Right? They didn't even shoot it, right? But the key thing here is that right after I finished that web series, I got a small gig from Wandile Molobadze, right? With Cold Stove Pictures. And after having met Wandile and writing a script for him and seeing it on the screen, something clicked in my mind. Everything now started to change, because for the longest time in my life, I was writing something, a story for people to buy and read in their own private time and kind of try to, visualize and in their own interpretation of what you're doing. But it's just here, it's in words. Now, I found a power because I can do the exact same thing. I can create something. Like us in this studio.
Yes.
And then all of a sudden, GTI pulls up. 6 guys come in, throw a bomb in here, and the whole store explodes. And when I write it, I can actually see it on the fucking screen.
I hear you.
Oh my God. I was like, I can be God. It was like a God complex in a sense, you know what I mean? It was like, now I can control things that you can see.
I believe video game development is the same. It taps into the same thing, that I can create a universe and I am the god of this universe. Okay.
It's exactly the same thing.
I get that.
So once that clicked and once I felt that, I never looked back. I told myself, don't even ask me about no books. I ain't going to.
You left that to
I'm not
you.
going to no bookstore. I ain't saying shit.
I'm done.
I'm done. And also, I fell in love with the industry because now there's red carpets. Now there's TV. Now there's celebrities. Now there's all of this stuff.
Now you're like, oh, perfect.
perfect because now I'm finding the cool
Yes.
in my passion, you know? Yeah.
Damn, bro. Like, it's always so funny when you find out how people find their way in life, right? And how sometimes, things actually do come to you. Like, you don't go and find these things. And like you said, that first short story that you had written, that you had distributed to people, people were like, yo, bro, I can see this as a movie.
There you go.
Fast forward, it's like, yo, now you're in the movie business.
Yeah, and then in hindsight, at the time, you're like, no wonder this is what I was supposed to do. So I found my niche.
Okay.
Yeah, I found my
So now that you're in the industry, you're in a new space because now you're not writing books, now you're in the film, TV space.
Yeah.
Did you have mentors? Did you have people who you could like, yo, I'm thinking about writing this, or have a look at this script that I wrote? Because those people are always super important, right?
Yeah.
Just to help you sharpen your skill.
Absolutely.
So did you have someone who was helping you sharpen
So
your skill?
initially, when I jumped in, no, I didn't, right?
Okay.
So what happened is that I wrote my first film, my first screenplay, Silverton Siege, right?
Was that your first?
First time I did a fully fledged feature script.
Okay.
Yeah, like I had not written anything besides a bit of an episode.
Okay.
But that was it.
Okay.
So I decided, and I found it while I was doing that web series, right? Because it was based in like the early 80s. So I was just Googling like what happened in South Africa in the 80s, blah, blah, blah. And one of the first things that popped up was the Silverton Siege. And I'm like, what is this? Then it was like 2 sentences, 3 guys, MK, blah, 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 sabotage mission. They end up in a bank, hostage situation for 6 hours. And then, bah, I knew it. I said, that's a fucking hit. That's a blockbuster. And I knew already. I just knew it was gonna be a hit. Gut feeling. I started to write it. I finished in around 6 weeks or 7 weeks or something like that. It was really, like I'm very quick.
Yeah, it sounds like even, I mean, your first like novel was like in 6 weeks.
Yeah.
That might be your magic number.
Yeah.
Like if
somewhere there.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've written stuff faster even. But the Silverton Siege was close to about 2 months or less. And once I finished it, I had no idea who to talk to and what to do except for Wandile.
Okay.
So now I hit up Wandile and he's like, no, you can drop off the script. So I printed out the script and he's like, you can drop off the script at the production house. And I drove over, used a friend's car and went to Cold Stove. And nobody knew who I was, of course. Got into the building. I was like, Wandile said I must drop this thing off here, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, we'll take it to his office.
We'll give it to him.
And then about an hour later, Wandile's former partner, what's his name now? Trying to think. Fidel. I can't remember his surname, but his name is Fidel. He's also written a couple films. He calls me and says, hey man, I just found the script. So what's the plan? What do you want to do? And I'm like, what do you mean, man? I want to make the movie.
I want to make the fucking movie. What do you mean what's the plan?
I didn't want your input. do something.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, cool, man. We'll give it a read. And then I was really psyched, excited, thinking, I'm sure next week I was on phone and we up right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then nothing happened for a couple months.
Yes.
So I thought, bummer. And I didn't know how to even contact other production houses. I didn't know how to go about this.
I get you.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I didn't go to school, so I didn't go to AFTA or whatever.
So you don't have that network of
network,
people.
yeah. And also, I didn't want to. I knew from the get-go, I didn't want to do abo generations, abo these little shows, right? So now I'm like kind of stuck, but just waiting, but I'm writing other stuff, creating other stuff from home. And then I get a call one afternoon from Wandile, and then he's like, hey, Sabs, this is Wandile, blah, 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 whatever. Do you know a guy called Mandla Dube? And I'm like, Mandla Dube, yes. The guy who did Kalushi, right?
Yes.
He's like, yeah, man, it's crazy, man. I just read your script. It's fire. I mean, the funny thing is that Mandla planned to do Kalushi, and then after Kalushi, he planned to do Silverton Siege. But there's no script, and now
It's here.
yeah. You should get Wandile. He'll confirm the story.
Crazy.
And he's like, so he really wants to meet you. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's set it up. And now I'm nervous. This big guy, this big director.
Oh, that's a big director, bro.
And I'm first time now, you know. I get there nervous, and he's like, no, relax. You're in.
Chill.
I read it. You're in. And then I was like, okay. So where do we go from here?
Yeah, what's
like,
next?
We'll call you, blah blah blah. A few months. It was slow, really slow. I think it was 2016, 2017. So the movie only dropped 2022.
Yeah, literally, right?
Yeah. So I was in development for about 2 years.
Okay.
And
Development means expanding the idea or fine-tuning the idea.
developing it, breaking it down, writing, rewriting. Writing is just rewriting.
Okay.
That's the art.
Okay.
Writing is just rewriting. Then you have people come in, you know, giving ideas, you know, scrutinizing the script or whatever the case may be. And so at first we were with the NFVF.
Yes.
So we pictured this thing is just going to go to the cinema like usual, right?
Yeah, the usual.
And you know, sometimes they'd give me 10 grand here, then 6 months later, here's another 10 grand, blah, blah, blah. I think it was 2000, when was it? 2019. 2019, early 2019. Boom. Netflix.
Yes. Because I even remember reading an article about your Netflix is coming here in terms of like producing things.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Okay.
Yeah. So Netflix is obviously in the country now. I think they've done the first series. I can't remember what
Blood
it was.
and Water, was it?
No, there was something else though. Just before
At
Blood and
that
Water. Blood and Water was the first Netflix original series, but there was a Netflix kind of co-pro.
Okay,
you know?
okay.
I think it was with Amanda DuPont and someone else. What's the guy's name now?
I don't remember now.
Yeah, but it was that one with you know, this guy. Every time if you cut him, he doesn't get hurt. Blah blah blah. But you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes. Okay.
So now Netflix is kind of putting their ducks in a row to, you know, drop the first of their stuff.
Oh yes.
Silverton Siege gets picked up, and I'm just blown away. I'm like, Netflix.
Yeah.
My first movie. And they know, like, next thing I'm on the phone with Netflix, and I have to go into development with them. So I only did 2 rewrites for Netflix until they gave me the green light.
Yeah, until they were like,
You good to go.
what did you learn about working with an international company in terms of the quality of maybe ideas in terms of like writing? What did you learn from like just that experience of like rewriting twice with Netflix?
Yeah.
Like what are those things that they're looking for?
So the first thing, I think I was the script. Let me not say me. The script was really developed by the time Netflix came on board. Because usually with Netflix is that they will take you through phases of development, right? And it's really fast.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. I mean, you have people reading your script, like 2 rooms
Of people going through it.
Yeah, it's intense. It's intense. And people scrutinizing your stuff, you know. What is this? Blah, 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 blah. So, but I was lucky enough to have developed one script for about 2 years, so it was really solid.
Okay,
It
so
was
by the
really
time
solid.
it got there,
It was just change this, change that, do this, do that, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, is that it? Like, yeah, green light. And I'm like, oh, yeah. But I did learn something from that. I learned at that point about what it means to create a film that has international appeal. Just a little, you know, those little nuances, little structural changes, hitting the right points. In South Africa, before Netflix, we would create stuff, but that wouldn't necessarily travel.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't necessarily travel. And even like the game now has gone up.
Oh no, it's elevated.
It's elevated now
Yeah,
because of
yeah,
that,
yes,
right? And because
yes,
of that, the development stages and stuff. So I learned a bit, but it was really quick, man. I'm not gonna even lie. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't have to do that much for my first film. And then it was contract time. And then at first I thought I'm gonna get the average, but at that time, that's when I met Shona Ferguson.
Okay.
Yeah, that's when I met. I was introduced to Shona Ferguson.
R.I.P. to the
R.I.P. to Shona Ferguson.
legend.
Yeah. So I was introduced to Shona Ferguson by Samad Davis, an American producer who took me to Shona's house. And from the instant that we met, Shona and I would just click. We just click because we're kind of the same, We find a lot of things, like when I'm thinking about an idea, he's thinking about the same thing. He has the same kind of, this thing should be on buses, this thing should be on this billboard, and blah, blah, blah. We should get this cost, and blah, blah, blah. So we just instantly clicked. And then he brought me in. Under his wing.
Yes.
And then before I knew it, we were always together. Then he's, teaching me the ropes. He taught me so much about
the industry.
Yeah. And that was around the time when I became from writer to producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now it's not just writer being hired by whoever. Now I'm starting to learn how to actually become the owner.
So, another point I want to double click and open, right? The producer bag. Because a lot of people who are watching this are also want to break into the industry, whether it's from writing, whether it's from acting, whether it's from producing. So I really want us to actually explain things so people understand.
Yeah.
What does a producer do in the film/TV space?
The best way to describe it, and this is coming from Shona, was when he said to me, all a producer does is fix all the problems on a project.
Okay. They're the problem solver.
Problem solver.
Yeah.
If there's no cameras, if this cast member is not here, if we can't get a location, you need to find the money to do this thing. You need to get the contracts, everything. So think about it as if you own a restaurant, or if there's a restaurant, let me say, you've got your waiters, you've got your clients, you've got people working in the kitchen, you've got blah, 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 and then you've got a manager. So the manager in this instance is the director. He's there day to day, telling people what to do, checking on things, and making sure that everybody enjoys.
Stock doesn't run out, like those type of things. Okay,
Yeah,
I get you.
yeah,
I get
but
you.
he's liaising with the owner. So now the owner is the producer. The owner is the producer. But in film or in TV, the producer is kind of manager as well, or he works really closely with the manager. And he plans everything with the manager. So every day, if you're the manager and I'm the owner,
every day we're on the phone. We're just
every day. And most of the time I'm on set. And that's one of the things that Shona told me, is that you gotta be hands-on all the time. From pre-production, production to post-production.
Yeah.
And he was so hands-on, he would choose the music, he would choose which scenes to cut out with the editors, in terms of coloring, everything. Yeah. So I learned all of that from him.
From him.
Yeah.
Okay.
And one of the most influential things that I learned from him was, we all know who Shona Ferguson was. So now I'm at the house all the time, and now you're seeing the cars. You're seeing the Rolls Royce,
The lifestyle.
Lamborghinis, just the lifestyle, the watches, the bling. and he influenced me a lot in terms of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Because you get a lot of people that do want to be a producer, but they're not at that level.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
It takes a certain breed to get to that level. And I believe, this is my personal experience, or personal opinion, is that producers are also born. You can teach. You can work hard. You might make it like to a certain place. But I also believe that, you know, you have to have a sense of management and control, and how to see a small idea into the big picture. You know what I mean? And not everybody has that.
Yeah.
I've seen it.
Most people actually don't.
Most people don't. Some people start restaurants, and then 2 weeks later it's gone.
It's done.
Yeah. The same thing with writing as well. Writing is just like being able to sing or being a football player. Same thing.
Storytelling is, I think we always talk about how important storytelling is, no matter what industry you're in, no matter what field you're in, because that's one of the most valuable skills that any human can have, right?
Absolutely.
Because the stories that we tell are where the keys of culture are stored, right? So the best storyteller is able to shift society in any direction.
Absolutely.
So that's how I've always viewed like storytelling. It's like such an important skill. Damn. Okay. So now you're in the space. Shona's now taking you under his wing. He's teaching you all of these things. Is Silverton Siege out at that point?
Silverton Siege is still going through pre-production at this point.
Okay.
And then at that exact point, Shona now is working on Kings of Joburg.
Okay.
So now one of my other good luck times is that time where he had a good writer by the name of Linda Berry writing Kings of Joburg season 1, but I think she had some international obligation, so she wrote the first 4 episodes, and it's 6 episodes, right? So now there's no writer, so she can't be here, and that's where my gap came in. And then Shona's just like,
yo,
get up,
it's time for you to shine. Yeah.
Let's see what you got. Now I've been waiting for it, but
the pressure.
There's pressure. Yeah.
The pressure.
I felt it. Yeah. But I loved it.
I feel you.
I loved it. I loved every moment because I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Exactly what I wanted to do. And I knew that he was gonna love it. I just knew. So he's like, let me see what you got. So I wrote those episode 5 and episode 6.
Yeah.
Under a week again.
Yo, you're a fast writer.
Yeah.
And what do you just like, if you have to write something, right? Do you go into like a hole? You're like, yo, I'm not seeing people for the next 6 weeks. Like, how do you write so fast? Like,
usually I don't go out. I actually don't go out, man. So if I'm like turning up or whatever, I'll be at home. Hennessy, music's playing. I'm on a balcony. Or whatever the case is, you know. If I'm going out, I'm going to a restaurant or whatever the case is, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm always working. That's also one of the keys. I'm always working. I love working. So when I'm working, I don't know. I think not everybody can write as fast. Some guys are slow and fucking good. You know, they're dangerous.
I think both ways work, and the example that I use is always Kanye. Kanye speaks about how he worked on All of the Lights for like 8 months, right? And then when it finally comes out, you're like, oh shit.
Yeah, and it was nothing compared to what it was.
But then some people, it's like Jay-Z, I've heard that when he gets in the studio, it's like, yo,
just give him like an hour and he's not even writing shit.
At all.
Just bobbing his head.
And he laces the verse and he's
done. Hits. Just like with Wayne as well. Drake was like, this guy cut 3 tracks in a night.
So both ways actually do work.
They do work. They do work. Some people are fast, some people are not. I'm just really quick because I know how to, if I have the idea, I know how to structure it and then paste it down. I already know before I start writing. See, some writers get onto the keyboard, onto the laptop, and they start off with a sentence or with a character or with a situation, and then they let it flow, They don't know what's gonna happen on page 2, right?
Yes.
When I get there, I know exactly what's gonna happen. Sometimes things change, obviously, as I go along, but I know from act 1, act 2, act 3, beginning, middle, and end.
You start with the end in mind.
I already start with the title.
Yeah.
I already had the title before I actually go fully fledged. Yeah. And I love that. So that it gives me kind of, a compass, and I can see it. I want to see the billboard. I want to see what the cover looks like. You know what I mean? So I always start out with that. Always. Like before I start writing, I want to know what the name is. And it must first come to me, and then I go in.
Okay. Okay. Back to the story. You are given this opportunity to write those 2 episodes.
Yeah, so I sent it to Shona. At the time, Shona and Siskonia flying to LA. I don't know what they were doing in LA, but he's like, "Oh, I'm on the plane. I'm gonna read it to LA," which is crazy because I've always had the connection with Los Angeles. So like, that's my end goal, etc.
Okay.
We'll get into that though.
Yeah.
So I was just like, perfect. On the flight to Los Angeles, let's get it. And as he arrives at the hotel, he's like, "What the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a hit."
Yeah.
Now I'm just like,
thank God. Yeah.
He's like, just change this. Maybe let this character say this, and then that was it, And then, we're starting to shoot. Oh yeah, and then he's obviously the money's coming in now, And obviously Shona was very generous. I don't know with everybody else, but with me, he was very generous. And so now I'm just like, I'm not even thinking about Silverton Siege. They can take as long as they want. Fuck out of it,
I'm on Kings of Joburg right now.
Yeah.
Nigga.
And then also I'm starting to gain traction now as Shona's little guy.
Protege. The protege. Yeah.
So now, fast forward, we shoot, and we drop in December 2019. I think it was the 1st of December. And I was like, why are you dropping on the 1st of December? So I'm already thinking like producer now because of him.
Yes.
December, no, man. People are,
this is the wrong time.
Yeah. People are thinking about groove, man, And, but he was right, in that. Because all of a sudden, boom, 2 days later, we're #1. And throughout the whole of December, people are just going crazy about Kings of Joburg. People are like, NG. I'm like, what the hell's going on? We gained a lot of traction. I think we did, we were #1 for about 6 weeks into Jan. And then we're still at the top 10 for like another month and a half or something like that. We cracked the records there, man. We broke them. We shattered them.
Shit.
And then we're #1 in Jamaica. We were #1. So this is the first time I'm experiencing this kind of thing.
Okay.
In Africa, and then I think, was it Australia? Oh, I can't remember. But we're #1 in all these countries outside. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, what's going on, bro?
And so I'm happy. And then Shona calls me in Feb the next year, so like a couple months. We still, buzzing off of that hype. And then he's like, listen, man, your episode, so I just spoke to Netflix. Episode 5 and 6 were ranked the highest. You see, the previous writer did 1 to 4. Yes. So he's like, come to the crib. And I was like, all right, cool. So I go to the house, and he's like, so listen, I want to offer you to do the whole of season 2, Gunman. But this time it's going to be 8 episodes, so you're going to write all of it because you got it.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah.
Clearly you got it, nigga.
Yeah, so that's how I got into season 2 as well. So, and it was the first time, all of these other series from Blood and Water to whatever, different writers, different episodes, it was the first time I did the whole season.
The entire
season. Yeah.
So let's talk about the pressure once again, right? Because pressure comes in different forms at different parts. And even if you've become successful off those 2 episodes, now it's like a whole
It was worse.
season.
It was worse.
Yeah, it's worse, I'm sure.
Yo, it was worse because now I'm like, so now if anything happens,
It's on you.
it's on me.
It's literally on you.
And he didn't even tell me what to do. He's just like, all right, you can go ahead, start. I'm gonna start giving you your money per month.
Yes.
Let's get it.
Yes.
And I was just excited, of course, but I could feel, yes, so where do I start? How do I do this? You know? The pressure was a lot, but it was nothing that I was not prepared for. One of the reasons, as a writer, I think other writers don't, learn this enough, is that you gotta always work. Always. You must always be pushing, always be writing. Even if you don't have a job or whatever, a contract or whatever it is, every time I was working consistently. Okay. I had other projects that I was talking to Shona about and that we were developing, and I would come to, yo, check this out. Yeah, I wrote a whole episode for something different while I'm working on Kings of Joburg. Yeah. And then if he's not even interested in this one, I can send it somewhere else. I'm just always creating, always working, always pushing. So that's one of the keys as well. And I was so comfortable with what I could do, my ability to tell a story, that I had already created a series alone that didn't get produced.
Okay.
Yeah, I think like a year or 2 years ago, before I even met Shona, called, what was it called? Off the Record. It was like a political thing.
Okay.
It was 13 episodes, but I wrote the whole thing.
Okay.
And then when I was approaching people, I was like, you wrote the whole thing? I was like, yeah, alone. So I was already ready for writing a whole season. I was comfortable. But obviously now the stakes are a little bit higher. Yeah. Because now it's happening for real.
Okay. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah.
I want to ask you about the different stories that get to be produced, right? And there's a conversation that me and the homies always have, right? And we talk about not even just South Africa, just maybe on a global scale, right? I feel like a lot of the same stories, and that's the problem I feel Hollywood is in right now. We can discuss it and get into further detail, but the same stories are being regurgitated from different
for a couple of years
angles,
now,
right? Like, now, how important is it for you as a writer to go out there and tell new stories? Like, because it's a business as well, right? So it's like, even in music, like the reason people make a certain type of music is because it makes money.
It's hot right now.
It's hot right now.
Yeah.
So how do you strike the balance of telling a story that's never been told, and also it being commercially viable? Because these things need to make money.
They need to make money. So I always put the commercial aspect first, right?
Okay.
And obviously, if you're doing that, the first thought that comes to mind is, hey, but now you're going to be regurgitating this stuff. You're just going to rotate it. But I put that first in mind. If I have an idea, most of the time, let me just be honest. Most of the time, I can strike that balance. But the real question is, how do I strike that balance?
Yes.
I strike that balance because I'm constantly aware of what's going on in the market, and not just at home, but internationally.
Globally.
I'm seeing what's happening in this industry, our industry, on TV. It's back and forth, same thing every day.
We've seen it.
We've seen it all, blah, blah, blah. And even now, with the streamers and people coming up with other stuff, you kind of, there was a little jump when people were starting to do, a supernatural here and there, just like Kings of Joburg, blah, blah, blah. But for me, it's always about the story and how you tell the story, and having the ability to see the end. When people are watching, I know how a person will feel when they're in the cinema watching my stuff. I mean, Silverton Siege premiere, the place was packed out. And I was just nervous, but I was just watching. And then as this character was about to say something, and I knew that it was a joke.
Yeah.
And then I'm waiting for the
laugh.
audience. And then they were starting to laugh. And then I was just like, I got
it. I feel you.
I got you. Yeah.
Okay.
So just having a feel, man, and also not being afraid is very key, man. Not being afraid, because a lot of people are afraid. It took me a while. I was always brave in terms of my storytelling, but it took me a while to actually say, I can do anything now. Literally. You know, I've got a project that's crazy, you know, and I think it's probably like over the hundreds of millions in terms of Hollywood numbers, you know, that I'm pitching in LA. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Crazy.
So, yeah, that's crazy. But it's not really crazy when you think about it. It's not. I mean, look at, I'm a piano now. You know, niggas are out here doing crazy
things, yes.
Touring the world.
Yes.
People are loving the music, you know, it's taking over, what's the other genre?
What? Or what?
No, internationally.
Oh, internationally.
You know? Is it dance hall or what? I can't even remember.
I actually don't know. I actually don't know.
But you get my point.
It's fucking shit up. Yeah,
Yeah, it's fucking shit up. I mean, look at Coffee, look at all these guys. They're doing crazy things. So once we start thinking like that, there's no difference in music.
That's 1,000% true. I think it's maybe shocking for us because actually we don't know what's going on in the film, TV space behind the scenes.
There we go.
The music one, oh no, we know.
We know.
We know, we see it every day. So that's why it's like, oh shit, okay, I didn't know that you guys are having those discussions like that.
No, I mean, let me be honest. We're not having those discussions. I'm having the discussion with myself.
I get you. I get you.
But there's not enough people. Like, I'm trying to be the example.
Yes,
you
yes,
know?
yes.
I've always told people, and I've always believed that, you know, when you think of me, I see myself, think of when Trevor Noah was the first comedian at Hollywood. Now he's the biggest, you know. Look at Tyler. I'm signed under the same agency, ACA. When you see those people, we don't have a Quentin Tarantino, we don't have a Spielberg.
1,000%.
We don't have a Tyler Perry from Africa. Yeah, and don't tell me about these other little niggas.
No.
But internationally, you know, where,
I get you.
Oh shit, Africa's blowing up. This guy from Africa, this producer guy, who's bringing this, you know, to the fold in the international, worldwide market, and he's not just bringing it here, but he's in the top 5 in LA.
You
know what I'm saying? So that's who I see myself as, and that's the goal.
Okay, that's the ultimate goal.
Yeah, that's the goal. That's why I got the Hollywood. Yeah.
Okay, dope.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, because Hollywood is still the mecca, the highest level of film or TV making.
It's UEFA Champions League.
Yes, literally,
we're still in PSL.
Yeah. I hear that.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay, let's get back to your timeline. So, Silverton Siege, right?
Yeah.
I want to zoom into after production, post-production, and the days or the weeks or the months leading up to it being released.
Okay.
Did you know that it was gonna hit? Because obviously you had seen it, like you had watched it.
Yeah.
Did you know it was gonna hit like that?
I knew it was gonna hit when I was at my parents' house back then, when I first wrote it. I felt that it was gonna be a hit. Remember when I read those two sentences?
Yes.
It's just a feeling, you know? It's like a musician, man. You know when you're like,
this one, it's out of here.
It's out of here, man.
Yeah.
So, but obviously now it's been a couple of years, and then now we're finally in production, right? And at the time, you don't really know what's gonna happen. So now that thought for me, it's not there anymore, because the only thoughts are, we just gotta get this right. We gotta get this right. Things are happening on the ground, you know? and I'm also doing season 2, Kings of Joburg, and blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
So half of the time I'm not even on set, you know, and then see dailies, and also Netflix is very strict in terms of
things being sent out.
Yeah, it's really hectic there. So we have no idea what's going to come out, right? And how the people are going to receive it. So let me just say, fast forward to post-production and kind of seeing the end of this thing. Yeah. And I felt that I was more amazed than I could have ever expected. Because I thought I was doing this, but what came out, oh my God. I was just like, no man, this can't be. Like the way it was shot, and shout out to Mandla Dube for that. Yes, he's a killer. He's a killer director.
He killed that movie, bro.
You know, and making everything happen, you know. The one key as well, as for writers and for me, I was allowed to do what I wanted to do on the page. See, what happens is in productions, and for a majority, 99.9% of writers, is that you can't just say you're gonna blow up a car. You know what I'm saying? So you're very limited to your what you want to do in terms of your creativity, etc. So for me, I was allowed to. I'm putting in helicopters. I'm putting people through tunnels under the fucking road. I'm doing 1, 2, and 3. And because I was allowed to do that, that thing just went crazy. And even when I would walk on set, the first time I got on set, everybody was just like, oh, there he is, there he is. Like, hey, you're the one who's causing us problems here.
I hear that.
Yeah, so that was also one of the keys for its success, man. And so once it dropped, but when it shot to number 2, worldwide, I was blown away. I was expecting a hit when I wrote it.
But not a hit like that.
I didn't even think about worldwide, no.
I hear that.
But you know, obviously the way I carried myself, etc. But I knew it was gonna be
big.
It's gonna be big, but not that big.
So what does it actually mean to have a movie that you've written that's on Netflix and becomes the second most viewed movie in the world? Like, does your life change? Like, or is that more of just it's like winning an award or something? Like,
nope.
How does your life change in that movie?
Oh, my life did change, man. Once that thing happened, all the doors open. And especially, you know, my relationship with Netflix. Then you are trusted. Then you are looked at, of course. My life was not the same, man.
After
number
that.
2, no. Just no ways, man. Even the money changed, man.
Of course.
So it was great, man. But the biggest thing that changed for me was mindset. My mindset, my confidence in the craft.
It grew once again.
Just went, because now I'm like, I'm talking to a film producer from the States. My film was number 3 in the States. And 89 other countries, it was number 2. Like, we've seen it. And then they're like, can we talk
differently?
Blah, blah, blah. At some point, so I was signed to another agency in LA. Like I would have 3 to 4 meetings in Hollywood per week. Like over Zoom and shit. After Silverton Siege, I mean, I went to, I was invited by the World Conference of Screenwriters in, what's this place? Copenhagen. Now I'm sitting with, you know, writers from across the globe, you know, from the States, from all over Europe, from South Korea, and all of these guys. Now I'm speaking at a packed arena in Copenhagen. I get there, I'm hanging, I'm late, and when I open the door wearing shades and a hoodie, it's just white people.
Yeah, of course.
And now when I open the door,
Of course.
everybody, the eyes are there like, who the hell
Who's
is
this nigga?
nigga?
Yeah.
Kanye West.
I feel you.
Yeah, and then I went on stage to speak, man, and it was incredible because they were laughing at my jokes and all of these things. And what I found in Europe, it was exactly the same thing that's happening in SA in a sense, because I would speak about, guys, you know, as writers, people don't even concern themselves about money. We should push the bounds and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, oh, okay, because they're more reserved. I found that after I spoke. And they were like, and I was like, guys, if a production is offering you $100,000, why can't we get $1 million? And I was the only person speaking about that, because they're more like, okay.
Yeah, we'll take whatever they give us.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I was like, shit, this is just like at home. You know what I'm saying? So when I was there, I realized that what I'm doing is not just here, but I can actually reach the top now.
I hear that.
I'm in that playing field.
Yes, now.
I'm in that playing field. And I felt that these guys, when I was sitting with the other writers, these guys are actually, they're not on my level.
Yes.
That's the confidence that I came with, that I came back home with. I had now the confidence to say, you can't rock with me. Yeah.
And is that period when the term the King of TV came?
No.
Okay.
Came later.
Okay.
You see, the confidence has to build.
Yes.
Slowly. And then I went to Netflix flew me out to Amsterdam to the HQ, and I remember speaking to, who was I speaking? One of the Netflix people. So they've got this room where they've got their awards, you know, all of these international awards and blah blah blah. And then I realized, I was like, you guys don't have the Oscar here, an Oscar, right? And they were like, yeah, blah blah blah. And then I told them, I'm gonna bring it for you.
Don't worry, it's coming home.
You see the confidence already.
I feel you. But it does open doors for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you see, now they're flying you out, you're doing this, you're doing that. I mean, I was in a small little workshop meeting in Amsterdam with the writers from Narcos, the guys that did Lupin, all the big time shows on Netflix.
Yes.
So I'm one of them, the only one from Africa.
From Africa, yeah.
Yeah, and for the first time, right? So I'm with these people, and I'm just liaising with these people, and I just found that, oh, this is where I belong, you know? And things obviously start to change. You become more confident about what you can do, and you start to say, okay, the brain starts to open up now, and you want to do more, you know, and you want to reach more people. I mean, I remember traveling there in Europe, and I was like, I want to shoot in this place. I mean, I want to have a car chase. I mean, these fucking hills and the castles and whatever. I was like, damn,
I need to use these. I hear that.
Just the location is beautiful, you know? Damn. And then, so then fast forward, what happened? SAFTAs came through, and then my film was nominated 12 times, the most nominations for last year. Last year's SAFTAs. I think we took home half, 6.
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, we took home 6.
Yeah.
They snubbed me one.
Now we see you guys. We see you. He'll be back for the other 6. Yeah.
And so I don't know when the term came, and it was after Shona had passed, unfortunately. It was after Shona had passed, and I was just with the wife. I think we were on some golf course or whatever, and an idea just came to my mind that I needed to change my name, right? And I had to be more focused. And the King of TV came because of how I felt. Like I was like, nah, I'm
the King of TV.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, but I didn't understand what it was gonna do, the effect.
Yes.
You know, something as simple as changing a name. Now, it doesn't always happen, you know, but in this circumstance, it was when I changed my name, all of a sudden, energy started to shift. and within the industry itself, and with people that are in the industry.
Of course.
All of a sudden,
Yeah, the OGs, I'm sure, were like, the king of what? Yeah.
But they know.
They
know. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. You spoke about being the only writer in those rooms across the pond, right? Do you feel any responsibility or any weight on representing the continent in those spaces? Like, do you even think about things like that? And I mean, it is an unfair question to ask, because a lot of black people who are the first to do something have to carry this thing, right? But is that something that you think about when you're in these rooms?
I don't think it's unfair. I think it's necessary. And absolutely. See, I'm not going to be one of those people that now you are Hollywood or whatever the case is, and now I'm doing just Marvel and I'm doing this series for America and whatever, and now I'm just, hi guys, I'll see you
guys
December time. I don't even think that's the key. What's necessary here is that I'm not trying to make it there to make it there. What I'm trying to do is, check this out. Hollywood has been running the industry since the birth of the industry.
Literally.
It's been the mecca, right?
Literally.
Now we come to this place in time where things are being recycled, right? I don't know if you remember about 5, 6, 7 years ago when it was, I don't know which Oscar it was, but the Korean films.
Yes.
Scoop.
Parasite.
Yeah, there was Parasite, and the director also won, and all of these things happened, right? Even with Squid Game and all of these things, and even those shows, those K films and those K series were starting to dominate, right? At some point, Europe had that little touch, right? And they can still have access to those kind of things, but we've never had that in Africa. Never. We never looked at for that. They just come here for locations.
I hear that.
You understand?
Yes.
So what I'm trying to do is put Africa on the global map. So obviously my responsibility is Africa. And the only way to do that is to have something different. Korean films, they don't shoot like they shoot in LA or in Hollywood.
At all.
They've got their own style.
They've
got their own style. I mean, I don't even watch stuff from outside that it dubbed. I love watching it and reading.
In the original language,
and then reading
right?
the subtitles. It's just more real like that. And the reason why people started to say, wow, that's different, is because these guys were original. You see, it's not like us making hip hop. Hip hop is not really necessarily ours. It's like YG. That's why it's not big.
But that's why piano cut through.
There we go.
Yes.
So coming from Africa, we gotta tell these stories.
Our stories.
In our style. And then dominate.
Yes. Fuck, I love that. I just had to ask you because people get into these spaces and then the ego kicks in and then you're like, actually, I'm gonna close the door behind me.
There's a lot of money here. I hear you. I'm not trying to do that.
How do you keep your ego in check? Because I do feel like in a space like yours, ego is a very big thing, and knowing how to manage it can make or break you. How do you keep your ego in check? Do you keep it in check?
I'm not the king of TV at home. I'm not the king of TV at home. Maybe in the streets. Cool. Ego is necessary.
1000%. 1000%.
Ego is necessary. It's just like confidence. I also don't believe there's something called arrogance. I think it's just confidence. When people say overly confident, you can't be overly fucking confident. You just really believe.
You can't over believe in yourself.
It's like, you want me to believe like this?
That's like, what do you mean?
Get the hell out of here.
I hear you.
So, but endlini, or to the people that know me, they know who I am. Yeah, they know who I am.
Okay, dope. What are you working on right now? Are there things that you can speak about that people can like look forward to? Anything you're excited about? How is the future for the king of TV looking right now?
All right, so my production company, Pen Game Films.
Yes.
So we've got a couple of projects. By the way, it's owned by my wife and I.
Dope, I love that.
Yeah, she's an actress as well.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of productions in development with Netflix, but I can't really talk
of course,
about
NDAs.
Ish, man.
Yeah, crazy.
The contract.
Yeah.
But I'm really excited about what's going to come up next.
Okay.
There's something big as well in terms of a series, and that one's just gonna shock the world, man. I swear to you.
Okay.
I swear to you.
Okay. I love that.
It's gonna be a game changer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh no, we waiting.
Yeah.
We waiting on that. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay. There's a question I ask every single guest who's on Dead Radio, right?
Yeah.
And I speak to them about the evolution of dreams, right?
Yeah.
The evolution of their dreams. Because I'm always like super fascinated about like how one dream leads you to another dream, which leads you to another dream, right? And for you, obviously you had like, as a kid, the soccer dream, or like you had all these different paths that you wanted, the music dream, which then led you to joining the youth league, which then led you to starting the blog.
Yeah.
And then which then led you to start writing novels, which then led you to what you're doing today. What's a new dream for the king of TV today that you didn't have 6 months ago, 12 months ago, 18 months ago? Because you walked into the building of film or TV, and then you're like, yo, I'm just gonna walk through the writer door. And then once you walk through there, you're like, oh shit, Shona shows you the producer door.
Yeah.
And then once you walk through that, you're like, oh snap, there's actually like 30 other doors I could walk through.
Yeah.
So what's a new door that you actually want to walk through?
That's a great question. For me, I kind of try to plan my future. But in terms of my career, especially with my career, is that I'm only giving myself a limited amount of time.
Okay.
Years.
Yes.
But I don't want to be as intense for too long. You know, I don't want to be 50 before I say, all right,
Okay.
let me pass this one on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Obviously, I'll still be active. I'll still be producing, but you won't see my face.
Yeah.
Still making money. The company will be still, great,
running,
etc.
going.
But because I'm always in this, constantly, and it takes its toll on everybody and around me, right? My dream, the next evolution in the next 10 or so years, is just to be a family man. Yeah, just to be a family man.
I love that.
Yeah.
I fucking love that,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need more men talking about, yo, bro,
Yeah.
this is very important to become a family man.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Like, yeah, chasing your dreams is cool.
Yeah.
But like raising a family.
Yeah, and being happy and being present constantly.
Yes,
taking the kids to school and doing this and going on traveling the world with your wife or whatever the case is. Perhaps, we don't know, like maybe start some other businesses, etc. But
that's the dream, right?
That's the next dream, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the next, not even dream, that's the goal.
Yeah, that's the goal.
That's the goal. Okay. Yeah, because I know what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it, and to what extent and to what level. But once that's done, we can go pick up the kids with the Rolls Royce.
Yeah.
Do my thing.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I feel you.
Yeah.
Damn, I love that, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, as we're winding down this conversation, right? What's the most random thing you do that pours into your cup creatively that has nothing to do with film or TV or writing? Because we all need outlets that are outside of like what we actually
Music.
do. Music.
Yeah.
Okay, you're a big music guy.
Huge.
Okay.
Huge hip hop fan. Everything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dope.
You can see how I impressed.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you. Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
And what's your last piece of advice to the dreamers out there? The kids who are maybe were in your position studying economics, but they know in their gut they're like, I don't want to do this. Kids who want to follow the film career or the music career or the soccer career. What's your last piece of advice to the dreamers out there?
I think the first thing is you have to find your passion. Find what you love to do. Once you find your passion, you have to become extremely fucking good at what you do. Then things will unfold.
Open up, yeah.
I think that's the most clearest path to achieving your dreams, achieving anything in life. Have a crystal clear goal. Once you found your goal, and then working hard to go and get it, and then that's it, man.
I feel that.
Yeah.
Damn. This has been an amazing
Thank you
conversation.
so much, man. I had a lot of fun, brother.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and we'll be back with another episode of Dead Radio from your boy Ini.
And you're live on Dead Radio.